Okay, so I don't know what's worse. It being a little dark, my hair being a little messy, or it being I don't know. What is this, like week 8 into COVID, which was the lockdown, of course. More or less trying to. It looks like one moment there's light, and you can kind of see me, and then next thing you know, it kind of sucks. No, that's what I hate about crappy fans and me moving over, but it's just like, or crappy lamps, sorry, lights, whatever. Um, I don't know. It's pretty sad. Let me get some. I actually have a very large drink over here. It's pretty sad. Excuse me. How I guess the lockdown had created some type of scare, and now I guess with excuse me, one sec. Excuse me, with the easement of I guess socialization options. Now, what we do have is a what is it called? A resuming of already terrible and bad habits. So, I mean, most people, I guess, are still unwilling to believe the potential that, there's a virus out there. And I don't know. I mean, it's like people are using this as an excuse to, excuse me, as an excuse to, just, really be unsociable or, just kind of be just, there are less people watching because more people are distracted. So why not just, I don't know. I mean, the world doesn't stop turning, but at the same time, the world does not stop turning. In that, I mean, you know, while there's progress to be sought and solutions to be determined or discovered, so many at this time are using this as an advantage to try and rush their own personal agendas. So, mm, me, on the other hand, I've misplaced, and I think somebody's messaging me. I think that's a message. I don't know. I've misplaced a pamphlet that I have for one of my assignments that I need to turn in. And it's strange because I think the last time I used it, wait, I think I know where it's at. I think, let me check. Hold on. Okay, never mind. It's been located. Let me make sure the mute is actually off. Okay. Um, yeah, so in any sense, I went ahead and turned on one of the lights. It's not really helping because it's not a very good light. And let me turn on another light. Hold on. Well, that light is much brighter, but actually the lighting for this camera is better, I guess. I don't know. So in any sense, with, I suppose, the issues occurring with the virus, it's just it's pretty. It's not really bizarre because I mean I myself have been exposed to some rather unstable, as far as mental condition goes, people, and unfortunately on a regular basis. I mean it is pretty consistent. I've seen people with substance abuse issues like alcoholism, drugs. Name the drug, and chances are, uh, people that are just, uh, you know, who lack the mental stability that, or just, how do you put it, uh, unable to just interact and get along with people in any sense. And I think that I think that some of the concern is, sort of like here in my state. One of the issues I deal with is, um, there seems to be more leeway for people who have like, uh, had issues that are, uh, legally definable as pretty concerning. And um, it's sort of like, why would I be stuck in the position to work with such people? It's more or less, because in my city, the options are either get paid uh, minimum wage to work with people that really, you know, have no experience with jobs and cannot, uh, cannot be productive and at the same time sociable, or work in places where, uh, let's just say, so many people have quit to where there's only an option for so many people. Only so many people work there, but that's more or less what I'm sorting out. And then, um, it's just poor part of the state, and it doesn't matter what they say about it developing. I was telling a friend, it's like you can actually go and check every house, do like a census, and knock on every house on every block, and go from east to west or whichever way is easier to go block to block. And I guarantee you, and east to west is probably the most sensible. And I guarantee you that at least 6 houses for every street are going to be vacant. And it's, they try to expand the city, but the sad part is there's just so many issues with substance abuse that they've decided to start building out instead of trying to fill houses in the city. And sort of the debacle with that is, and I was telling a friend, and it's hard to really perceive, but I'm saying that money is fictitious, and it's sad, but it's true. I mean, it's a representation of your allowances, but how often are you given that, and then it being an option for you to make a choice to do things outside of luxury, and a lot of people just end up becoming tied into consumerism, where what you buy is just something that you really don't need, but it's something to make your life better, such as my laptop, although I use it for research, or your cell phone, or, and a lot of people end up just blowing it on things like fast food or anything like that. And I'm thinking, if the money is given to make it seem as though it's a justification to give other people work, whereas the people that are also at these jobs are more or less just taking the money that you give them and blowing it themselves. What what real, you can say, what reality or what realization or what option truly exists where it's more or less just a method to, and I'm using this term loosely, validate the need to expand, where you have more people now consuming more natural resources, and uh, they're not really contributing to help build society. It's just more or less a another staple into showing one being productive, or one being progressive. And it's like, it's I don't know if it's just this state or if it's others, but it's like you can't. expect a population or a country to grow where everything is being tied into what you consume to what you have for, I guess, employment, and that being some type of representation as to what is what is a means to validate further expansion. Because again, it's like um, you can have a job and you can pay. And here's the thing: like if you have places that are going to see 1,000 customers in a night, and I mean, just imagine the amount of resources that goes through. And I think that's sort of the issue, and where most of the challenge came about, where shortages were occurring, and perhaps to a lot of what's being hidden is the reality of it's like supposedly and no, not necessarily supposedly, was uh within the realm of potential is what's occurring, and the meat plant shutting down, and then supposedly farmers, and not related, but farmers are throwing away their milk supplies because schools are closed because due to the virus, and they don't have anybody to buy them. But instead of helping to feed our country, or give it to, just have chances to provide just areas that may be in need of it, they dump it out because it's more expensive to transport it, and there be no purchase. And it's like, I mean, wow. That is, I don't know, man. It's pretty sad if something has no method to provide profit, it suddenly becomes worthless, yet it still has a price to it. So I don't know. In any sense, geez, I'm killing myself right now. Hold on. In any sense, excuse me. I guess the challenge is trying to get through the day where so many times you have people that are simply refusing to believe that somebody as me would have the motivations to be productive, or because and again, I mainly get judged on my hair, like my beard and my hair in the back, which is and it's like, oh, that's because I have an attitude. And it's like I get discriminated on, pretty regularly because of it. But it's very indirect. People become a little bit wiser as to learning how to avoid stuff like that, but there's always something underlying. And so, like, I can quickly run through some of the languages that I study just to provide some type of insight as to just sort of what it is that I uh, what it is I do in basically my free time, and my you know in my personal desire to become a more you know I don't know what term is, to be a more productive human, or just person, to where people are able to, if there's ever a need for somebody to interpret, which I've done before, I could be that person that assists with that. And it's pretty underrated on account that most people they're just quite frankly prejudiced against, that most people they're just quite frankly prejudiced against, multilinguality. They they have that crappy mentality. Well, you're in America, and they even say speak American. It's like, It's like, yeah. So in any sense, I can look up some words right now that might, because here's the thing, I'm working on my German, and I've been working on the German for since 2011, like December, and it's kind of like I always get into like debates whenever I speak with Germans in regards to what they expect to be strictly conversational, and I believe and I hope that I'm at that point to where, and I've made that statement too, because this is out of personal observance that I'm building my diction, making observances where adjectives become adverbs and vice versa. But at the same time, I'm using the structure that I see now when I'm studying Russian as a way to inflect the way that it is that I present the speak. And it's like, mm, I don't know. I just think that so many people are born into the world now to where they have this expectation and they have this little, I don't know, it's like a false, um, they fool themselves to where they believe anything is just so simply gained, and that's why they never work on it. Oh, well, I could just do it tomorrow, or then, and my biggest, like, some things that I observe whenever it's me speaking another language, or if it's just me in general as who I am, is I'll notice people do like strange things. Like suddenly, as soon as I'm active, suddenly they have to make sure that them throwing some piece of trash away in a trash can is observed, and it's like, it's and it's like, unspoken crap like that. It's just like, it's like you claim to have so much more intelligence than me, and yet you can't even master the same things I've had. But if I'm so easily uh, overwhelmed by your intelligence, and this should be no challenge, right? And it's like, and it's become more, it's become less intriguing, but more complicated. The way that people are just, uh, observably just, they become distraught, or just more or less they have this distaste for my presence, and it's like, um, well, I mean, I didn't tell you to, you know, roll over whenever people told you to. It's not that I do not face my own challenges with others' negativity, because I don't wake up every morning and say, you know what, I'm gonna piss somebody off today because I don't want to be able to feed myself tomorrow. It's just like, no, people come at you with crap attitudes. My attitude is this is quite frankly the same every day, in and out, day in and day out. It's whenever people seek conflict from me, is it that I more or less, I try to avoid confrontation, but unfortunately most people just they see me as, they see my passiveness as a validation for their own actions, a continuation of them, and it's like, so in any sense, let me see, what can I say, because again, speaking German is fun, but at the same time I'm not meeting very many people that speak it, know it, or understand it. And then um, most Germans now, and that's just with modernism, especially with millennials, they only want to speak in like short speak. Well, I guess they refer to as short speaker. Just they speak in slang and short talk, and it's just like you would have to know the general reference, and then it's kind of like, yeah, whatever, okay, yeah, It's like, that's not language, that's not culture, and it's like so many people are just given too many opportunities to just envelop themselves in convenience that they lose their personality, because they basically become creatures of habit. Just only want to do what they want to do, and that's like, only want to play this video game, or only want to watch this movie, or only want to, it's just like, who wants to be around people like that are so bland? I mean, whenever all that's gone, what is going to be left? Whenever you can no longer, whenever you no longer have the energy, whenever you no longer have access to, whenever it is the things that you like are no longer important, who are you? I mean, a lot of people just find ways to transition to something similar, but they never have that personality to really carry them over. And it's like, it's disturbing because I mean I see a lot of people who have issues at home too, like marital, family, and all that, and it's sort of a strange combination. It's like an emotional cocktail that these people consume on a daily basis. It's just the fact that because of our own personal obligations, very rarely is it that you see the amount of, it's like almost like a borderline psychosis, the amount of fixation people have on it because it's what drives them. And it's like, if you were in an area that you had at least enough room to be comfortable, and there was no such thing as money, and you had a place to call your own, without being new things being incorporated, and other people were active around you, and you have this time to let these thoughts develop. What is it that, how do you put it, what is it that suddenly becomes these internal thinkings that then become the things that will put you in motion? Because most people aren't like, well, I just found myself doing this because it's like people think that they can just, and a lot of it's lying. People just think, oh well, no, the reason I do this is because, and it's like so many people attempt to put themselves in positions of nobility in terms of character and more personal morals, but it's like they're not able to associate what actions cause them to give them these options, and at the same time the effect of their decisions on others. And it's like yes, you can be successful, but how many people did you cut short? How many people did you know were struggling in the same area, but you saw that as an opportunity to take you know their future options? And it's like, and most people won't, unless, and there's, let's be true, let's be truthful. Most people will never not only realize that, most people, there's really no way to document somebody else's negative motivations or the actions that they do. And it's like, you would think for what they claim in terms of population to be so true that you would see opportunity just readily available, but it's more like you do have fewer and fewer opportunities. It's just always a newer generation getting the chance, as opposed, and I've dealt with that in my career. It's like, you want to move up, and here's your opportunity, and then it's like you just have to wait and put up with this person's bullshit. And it's like, I have this opportunity in less than a 16th of the time that it took them, and it's because I always did what I was told, always put in my best efforts, always try to make sure that my name was in the hat, because I try to meet the minimum requirements, and then I had to sit here and put up with somebody else's bitterness because they don't think I deserve the opportunity. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna argue with people anymore about whatever it is that they think it is that I need to do to impress them to make something right. Because I mean, if they had the same insight that they're telling me is what, as to what is necessary, they themselves would already be in the position to not need to stand here and bicker with me. And then at the same time, um, it's more or less, people attempting to justify, and I call it what is it called, animosity by proxy, basically having somebody fulfill your actions without you being directly involved. That way there's less liability on your part. And it's like I don't know. And since there's, it's kind of like the challenge is getting over what I know is true, and then the fact that most people know that there's only so many that are able to define their dishonesty. And uh like it's sort of like, yeah, I don't have time for that. I mean, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to update my resume. I'm going to put everything in there that I know if that as to which I'm given a job offer for, I can prove it. It's not just, oh, well, in all these generalities, let me find ways, and this is from my opposing party, let me find ways to diminutize what that truly means because, well, and it's like, I, I'm not going to become dumber just because you decide that you're better than me or whatever. I don't know. I don't know the thinking that creates this type of jealousy, but it's pretty sad, and that's one of the biggest challenges I had. Growing up in this county, I was like, I never realized, and I felt some type of exposure, but I never truly realized what it was, just because I felt that maybe I had come across somebody who was just having a bad day. But then when it becomes more and more consistent, and you start seeing it along every single ethnicity. It has nothing to do with race. I mean, race does play a part whenever um you know you seek to move up, and you know you're the one individual that is outside of particular majority. And but in any sense, I'll get into that later. I really don't have time to debate again, something that's been present in my life for since ever. But um back to the more focused subconcept, that is that this county just has nothing but mischievous, mischievous people. And most people just judge you by your outside appearance. I mean, it hasn't changed since I was a kid, and it's like I didn't realize that this was the environment I had grown up in, because I think myself had formed some type of you know less than approachable appeal for everything. And it's like coming back and now having, and again, it did help to a sense, to where I was able to withstand some of the negativity that people put out there. It's just um I can't really say that that's the type of environment you would want anybody really to be around, because you shouldn't have to be judgmental of other people, and other people shouldn't. You should not really have to be in an environment where people are just so willing to see you fail, just to build their own ego, because they're sad because they're stuck in this shithole. I mean, I didn't tell you to move here. I didn't tell you to try and find work here. I didn't tell you to never think about looking for a way out. I mean, that was all on you. I mean, I'm simply here for school. I'm not here to. My life is not is not in this city, because this city is just, oh my god, it's deplorable. It has absolutely zero economic opportunities. Basically, what they look for is either people who are going to spend their entire life here, so that you continue to reinvest in the community, or they just sort of use the people that continually fuck up as the low paid wait labor, the minimal labor. And it's just like, how not to get something done if not by uh, the hands of those who would have no stake into you know holding part in that. And I'm criminality is another discussion, and it's one for another day. But um, I don't know what to say right now in terms of other languages. I mean, I could say that ich hoffe, dass das in mein Leben ist, kann eine Opportunitäten anzuhaben. Vor, ich denke, hier in dieser Stadt ist keines des guten Arbeiten. Vor allem die Menschen hier, als nicht so weit sind, als nicht müssen, falls die Menschen, oder dann, was hast du am Major äh, also gebaut und gemacht, das liebe Wasser. Um, and that's German, but Um, and I've tried to mess around a little bit with Russian, but it's been a little bit of a challenge just trying to get a baseline for the way that the course is supposed to sit. Um, and it's just more or less been, if I want to see my language develop to where I'm able to speak it freely, as opposed to just general reflectances on I guess my action. It's kind of, как ты говорит, когда ты можешь люди послушать свой язык, почему ты нет хорошо день, когда он не может, когда он не м, понимаете, что ты сказал. Почему это город, где я живу, а, они не любят новые opportunity. Почему это, and I still need to work on my diction, but um, you know, it should be more than добрый день, меня зовут Яков, и я живу в городе Луки. А, я иду на машина, я решил бы машина на парке, почему я не люблю это видео. I mean, it's it's is what it is. Cuando se tienes la oportunidad de estudiar en los múltiples idiomas y si tienes las personas a que no queremos para una persona a tener el acceso porque por las cosas es no es una persona con la misma dama en la mayor edad por los en la responsabilidad de la ciudad developmental y si tienes los controversias con sus ah, ¿cómo se dice? Controversias cuando no es una persona a que tener a los ideológicos y misma con que no somos o creamos es la mejor en la vida por la historia, por las cosas a que dan la tierra a que se vivando. It's like what do you do, man? I mean, if that's simply Spanish, and it's just it's not too terrible, but um, I mean, cuidarse cuando se quieres hablar con las personas, de los hombres, de las mujeres, porque las cosas es que nadie que se entienda que te tienes a decir. It's Portuguese, so is what it is. You can say cuando no paran en la idioma por nos a que es entender um, es un problematic petit pourquoi c'est nos I'm still working on the French. I haven't really put that much time into French, but eventually I've only put about 6 hours into French, so I'll get into that. Um, I'm working on Dutch, but it's that one's a little bit tougher because a lot of it is twisted into German and Danish and English. So it's like I could be saying things that I know that in Polish the word ich ish is us, and in German it's I. And it's like you have to be able to recall and recite the differences in the languages. So I mean, it comes along, but it's kind of like the word "nós" to have in Portuguese, but it's "sal," and that's multiple in Polish, or and it kind of varies with French, but uh, in any sense, I mean, it's just something you have to study and work on and put a lot of time into because um, quando dice non parlare idioma italiano, uh, mm, come si dice? Uh, non bon dia. Um, but, I'm still working on the Italian, which is what I'm working on right now. I put it away for a week, but get another 6 hours, but it's coming along. I like it. I mean, I think it's an opportunity because I mean, I figure if I prime myself now, and if I'm working in Europe, I just have my little primers to work on the accent tones and bring back in some of the diction. And it's not like I need to study from scratch. And let me try and put something together. It's like something better. I mean, something better than kind of like the limited opportunities I've seen here because it's like I have more fun just getting to know new people as opposed to putting up with people that have that same crappy attitude and the same language and it's the same tone. It just becomes more and more embittered. Like I'm expected to be more. I should feel more obligated to treat these people as though I own something. It's not just one person; it's everyone. It's like, yeah. We've already got into the discussion where people say if somebody rapes somebody and they have that kid, the child will be a rapist. So how is that not the same for people who have massacred multiple generations of Native Americans and that seed being passed down? I mean, you know, if we're gonna play the DNA game, let's do that. And what else? I mean, I think it's sad because I won't get too big into some of the recent wars. I know it's like some people just believe people in the military are angels, and they have prisons, they have people that are convicted, they have people that commit crimes too. It's just you never hear about it, but you know, and somebody said that, oh well, you know, the Hiroshima bombing was so long ago. It's like that's what they teach newer generations. Oh well, here are your toys. Don't worry about what we did, this long ago, because now it's part of history. Now we have a little bit more liability, but colonization, mass eradication of the Native Americans. I'm pretty sure there's something. If I brush up, we can find something more in between that. But the California Gold Rush pushed out thousands of Asians and natives too. Trail of Tears. Then we have, and again, there's other parts of history too that really tie into sort of. And let me see, just for quick reference, because I know I have something here, and I'm not saying that any uh, acts of aggression towards our country are justified. I mean, I was a junior in high school whenever 9/11 happened, and it's a little scary, but I mean, it was more or less just trying to figure out, just seeing, oh well, somebody would actually go to the point of, attacking our country. That was something new, but I mean, that was made possible by the invention of the airplane. So I mean, a lot of things that are accelerated for the desire of pure profit and expansion can often be the source of, the problem. So. In any sense, let me see if I can find it because I know I had it. Here it is. I know I have it. I know I have it. And I know I have it. It's just, wow. Oh no, I lost it. But in any sense, there was some sort of concern where control of an island was supposed to be for the sake of appearance, controlled by China, but it was actually under the Japanese dynasty that it was so, and for whatever reason, an American warship had forced its way into this area for trade, and then that just sort of ushered in, and I can actually find it. I know I can find it because I hate to continually just make reference to this and it not be. And it's like I need to brush up on my world's history, but it's like I need to do that also because a lot of people, I wouldn't be at the point now to where if I know something and I'm able to disagree with it, that it causes people to become so frustrated because their allowances into history are just whatever makes the most sense to them, not necessarily real accounts. And it's like, I mean, what is it? How do you reason with people that? How do you reason with people whose only desire is self-indulgent, and just more or less being in a state of mind to where only their way works or only their way is best? And it's like, yeah, that's kind of why you're in the position you're in now, and that's one that doesn't really have any mobility in life. So, I will find it eventually, but in any sense, it's just more or less. I mean, let's just say that I suppose now that these lands are completely inhabited by uh, transcendence of British, that apparently my phone's going off. There's less direct aggression into, I guess, being able to, how do you put it? I gotta sneeze. And by less direct, I mean we're not being forced to march from Florida to Oklahoma, but um, there's just ways to try and create this sort of new conformity, and it's something like this totally goes against those ideals. And it's like, if our society was so advanced and we had so many opportunities and there was just so much progression, something like this would not be an issue, because it would be nothing, because there would be enough work and enough opportunity to where, and yet this is something that, oh well, I don't want my kid doing that because they're, and it's like, obviously, some of that native spirit is still alive, and people are just trying to destroy it. I mean, why is it I need to cut my hair and have my beard? Because I will see you'll see me for the next 10 seconds and maybe twice at most in a month, and you can't just bite your tongue for 10 seconds or just have something more to. There's nothing more productive on your mind. There's nothing more judgmental temperament, as though you know I wasn't as though my blood and my everything that I have for well longer than, what is this, like a 500-year occupation? I mean, you want to tell me that I don't belong here? I mean, really? I mean, everything that's more or less created is to what it's tending of land to provide a better representation of what they believe to be their productive society, and subjugation. Otherwise, it's ostracization and direct uh, removal of any liberties and opportunity. Basically, you don't have anything. And, I mean, if it's only to promote their own ideals, how is that not subjugation? It's not like I'm going out and burning houses or, uh, looking for things to break, but because it doesn't meet what they said as the new standard. And it's basically all about conformity. I mean, I think everybody remembers the 1970s whenever people were doing drugs and had afros, and it's like, now that I guess there's more way to get these ideals put out through mobile technology, there's an even bigger push to push those expectations. And it's like most people have not rationalized their own lack of discretion. It's a double standard hypocrisy. So don't expect me to really care about what it is you want. Where people, if you can't introduce yourself to me and tell me why it is based on, and I don't even want to know that much. If you can't explain to me why it is without becoming, you know, extremely impatient and nearly belligerent, then it's obviously not worth listening to. Because if you're a representation, as I am an ambassador to everything that I speak for. If you're a representation into what this is, the short hair or the acting a certain way, and yet you can't even make statement or make proof of this without becoming belligerent, then why would I want to adopt that? Why would I want to be belligerent towards others? Because I'm now setting this expectation on others and I'm becoming impatient and belligerent. For what? That's just not who I am. I mean, that's how you live your life, then enjoy it. But I'm not that type. I mean, I'm a little bit more leveled out because I have more going on in my life than worrying about how much money I have to tell other people why it is they need to do what I tell them. I mean, I can only imagine just like it's like people try to tell you that the only way you're going to succeed, and me following that, trying to be part of that. Look at where I'm at now, and it's because of my skin color. Forget about tattoo, but I mean, it's you know, if you follow and they just decide, well, you're not listening enough, and it's all about skin color. Because I used to buy into that short haircut, showing up to work on time, being motivated, and they never tell you have to put up with people that are just going to be jealous or have less education, or and they believe it because of generational hatred and oppression. So why should I care about you know what is it that I stand to gain by helping somebody else's ideals out that only mean to oppress me further? that discipline me for being a free thinker, for putting the time in to develop my mind and be that intelligent person that can interact with people on a multi-angle stage of development. I mean, it's just like it's either stand here and bigger with the people who gave up and just said, you know what, this is my paycheck, is good enough. I must be a genius, as opposed to me over here continually working, working, working. And even though people are like, you know, you're not, it's not going to work. You're not, it's like, obviously I'm still rising up. It's just, what better way to try and maintain their own mental stability, because their world is coming to an end where their rationale and everything that they thought was, what only need to be done in order to make their world stable is now, you know, I'm using their mistakes as a stepping stone, just as just quite simply as they've used me as a stepping stone, taking my ideas, my motivations, my insight, using them for their own, and at the same time, it's like, well, your job's kind of on the line if you don't give me this information. And now that we got the information, why do I need you? You don't do anything. So what do I care?